Welcome guys to the final part of this paper walkthrough for January 2018 Health and Social Care. Final section here, question 3. We've got 3A, B, C and D to look at. So again, the last two questions are going to be 10 markers, the first two shorter questions. We've got a new development in the scenario, in the context at the very beginning, and now the shift is focusing to Patricia again. And it says now Patricia has returned to college. She's working fewer hours as a waitress in the local Italian restaurant, so she's earning less money. So first question we've got here is, to what extent might Patricia earning less money impact on Joy's intellectual development? So Joy being her daughter. So the effect is going to be, I guess, if she's got less income, so less income will, oh, I've got caps lock on, less income will reduce the amount of activities that Joy can do, which will limit her enrichment and new experiences. So again, the idea that she can't do much. Less income will also mean Joy has less games and activities or games books to encourage intellectual spelling on intellectual because I can't. There we go. Intellectual development. There we go. So we have two reasons there. We've then got 3B, which we're going to move on to. So we've given a point and a reason. Another little development here on the situation. So Joy enjoys attending playgroup. She's developing holistically, so that's all physical, intellectual, emotional, social, through joining with activities. Joy participates, particularly playing with sand and water. Joy will pass through several stages of play as she develops through infancy. Explain 3 stages of play Joy will pass through. Cool. Well, stages of play, this is obviously Piaget. So the stage of play goes from solo play, parallel play, associative play, and cooperative play. Now, Joy is 2, so she's probably in the early stages. 3 stages, Joy will pass. Okay, so we can go through any of the stage. So what I'll do is a 6 marker. We need to give 3, so I can put solo play as the beginning one. So when children play independently and dependently on their own. Should then move into parallel. I'm trying to really start. Oh, sorry, it's 1 R is in parallel play. Children, they don't play with other children, they're just playing near other children. So children will play independently on their own, but near or next to other children, possibly copying their game. And then you've got associative play, which comes after that. So again, children mainly play on their own, but will occasionally interact with the other children around them. So again, it's that kind of middle ground between parallel play, where they're just playing near a child, and cooperative play, where they play with children. So you then would have co-op as your last option there. But as I say, we've got 3. You don't need to put a 4th in. So that leads us on to 3C. There we go. So 3C. So Joy is beginning to speak clearly. Chomsky believes children are born with the inherited ability to learn human language, evaluate factors that may influence language development. So Chomsky, kind of talk about Chomsky. Was all about biological and inherited, biological and genetic factors allowing language acquisition. He talks about the LADs that we all have in our brain, and it allows us to learn language. The examples he uses is that children all seem to learn language in the same order and make the same grammatical mistakes, even though they do not hear these from adults. So the big example would be like sheeps. So young children will maybe see a group of sheep and say sheeps because they know the idea of more than one. All children make this mistake, even though adults won't be using the word sheep. It's kind of the idea that their brain has figured this out and learned it out, and that's what Chomsky says is the LAD. If we were going to kind of put example, is obviously he talks about children who are bilingual and multiple languages much easier than adults. So again, the idea that because they've got the LAD, they can pick up language earlier. And I'm going to, again, one little argument I use with my students is talk about great apes. So great apes, like, so we're talking orangutans and gorillas share, and I think it's quite high. I think it's like 98%, maybe even 99%, actually 99% of human DNA, and can also learn language. So I sometimes use that with my class, the idea that, you know, you can just get chimpanzees, apes that can sign and communicate and learn language in a very simplistic way. And maybe the fact that because they share so much of our DNA could relate to this LAD that Chomsky argues. Arguments against this, however, all the social factors. So it's going to be stuff like parents, interaction. It will be activities to help with language and resources. Obviously, again, children quite learn through singing, through reading. So again, language acquisition would be important here. Chomsky had no evidence of the LAD. There's no physical evidence to support Chomsky's argument of the LAD. And again, I suppose maybe things we could consider as well would be examples of, you know, children who don't develop language due to learning disabilities, or if we're going to go again weird examples, we could talk about or feral children. Genie. which again, if you do psychology, you may have seen the case of Jeannie. She grew up in total isolation and learned no communication or interaction skills. So again, the idea of the lad doesn't mean that we learn language, because there are people who don't learn to speak. So we've got two sides of our debate here, and again, a few bits of evidence or examples we could use to support. Last but not least, 3D. Final question of the paper. So it says, now Patricia has completed her studies, picked up some extra shifts in the restaurant whilst she waits to go to university. Beatrice, Joy's great-grandmother, now looks after Joy 5 days a week. Evaluate the impact on Beatrice's health and well-being for looking after Joy. So what we want to talk about here are the pros and cons, really, of Joy looking, or Beatrice looking after Joy. Let's get my question paper physically one over. So we want to talk about pros, and then we'll also talk about cons. Cool. Obviously, Joy and Beatrice will be active while looking after Joy, mobile, and helping with fitness. That's one physical benefit. We could go with intellectually, stimulated by child care, and encourages creativity, help entertain and the idea intellectually should be stimulated because obviously she's working with Joy. Emotional is the idea of forming attachment and bonds with granddaughter. So again, the idea of maybe you could think to self-esteem, that could be a positive. And then socially, again, she may take Joy to clubs, playgroups, and mix with other parents. So we've got some positives of this. Now, negatives we've got, so we're just going to E for physical. So again, she's going to be tired from looking after Joy. Intellectually, we could maybe say will not have time for own activities and hobbies to keep her intellectually stimulated. So again, loss of time from looking after Joy. Emotionally, again, if we're thinking about self-esteem, feeling old could affect self-concept, self-esteem. So again, she feels old, she feels tired, and that could have a negative impact on her. And last but not least, we've got S for pies. So again, loses contact with her own friends or caring for Joy. Again, if we wanted to throw any theory in here, we could throw in a bit of Bowlby, a bit of activity theory. So we could throw in a few theories here and there if we wanted to, but the question is evaluate the impact. So we've kind of gone with the pros of her looking after Joy and the cons of looking after Joy. And again, whether we kind of mix those, the physical benefit would be this, but the weakness would be this. Intellectually, it's good for this, but it's bad for this. But there we go. There's our pros and cons. let's go back to the very top, which is quick, and what the examiners will be looking for. So 3A. So we said obviously it's lack of money and how that affects joy. So less income means we can't do as many activities and limits enrichment and new experience. So again, our answers may not match perfectly, but we've got limits new experience, which we've said in the first one at the end. May not be able to go to zoo, playgroup, holiday. So limit enrichment new. So actually, yeah, I probably should have put an example such as zoo or holidays to kind of make sure I secure the extra mark. But maybe hopefully loss of income will reduce the amount of activities and then we'll limit enrichment. Hopefully that should still be fine. And then loss of income means joy will has less games and books to encourage intellectual development, which is kind of very close to the second one. So that should be fine. 3B, which was the stages of play. So solo play, children play on their own. Yep, that's fine. Parallel play, children play on their own, but near other children, possibly copying their game. Next, yep, that's fine. Associative play isn't on the mark scheme. They've gone straight to cooperative. But again, the associative play is that middle ground between cooperative play and playing together. They play nearby, but will occasionally interact with the children around them, but not really long term enough to play. So again, that should be fine. Again, any other appropriate examples should count. And then moving on to the final two. So 3C was about Chomsky. Looking at the mark scheme, we've got relevant theories like Chomsky, the lads, and how Chomsky's theory explains language acquisition. Language is innate. We said biological, that's the same thing. Children around the world acquire language in the same way, same patterns of development. So we didn't really talk about those, but we kind of just suggested at them. We've gone extra with the bilingual, my kind of great apes. And then the other side, it all depends on social, however, social factors, siblings, parent interaction, no evidence for the lad, which isn't on the list, but that's true. And we've gone with feral children as a little bonus extra example. So that we're kind of on the right lines. That should be absolutely fine. And then 3D. So the mark scheme is given a list very much in the same way. The impact of it physically, intellectually, emotionally, socially. I think we've probably got so beaches activities, keeping them mobile. So yeah, maintain fitness, but intellectually, kind of on the right. Similar new skills. We kind of got emotional. They've gone self-esteem. We've put form attachments. So yeah, whether that would help, but we've got self-esteem at the end. Meeting other parents. Yeah, we've got the same or similar problems. Looking tired from looking after Joy. Or they've said exhausted and given some details. Intellectually, yeah, not learning new things. Emotional. We've just gone feeling old and that self-concept, that they've gone a little bit more about how she would compare to others and losing contact friends. So actually, yeah, we've kind of gone the same route, same points, just maybe not in the same level of detail or same points, but ultimately we've got pros and cons. So that's what they'll be looking for there. So I hope this has been of some help. I've broken it into 3 parts, hopefully little bite-sized chunks make it easier to watch and manage. What we're looking at here more is just to show you how to approach exam questions, what kind of things would be appearing on kind of in terms of style of question and what would be asked of them. I hope this has helped. As always, like and subscribe, tell your friends, and good luck with any assessments you've got coming up. Thanks for watching.